is another group of aliens who came here who were kind of like the Anunnaki. Um, they would I mean, like Moses was a really good person, but I think they were kind of screwed with him too. The Ten Commandments is all about thou shalt not, and you don't teach spiritual lessons by telling you what you can't do. You should teach about what you can do, and what you should do. And so when they followed, they helped the Jews, maybe because they had a certain they were kind of like their pet project that they even created genetically. I don't know, for 40 years, flying around and then giving him the manna from the food from the spaceship, and that's how his hair turned white when he talked to him on the Mount Ararat or Mount Sinai. But so those are the Yahweh, which I think look just like us. And then you have also the Anunnaki, were the gods of the ancient the Greeks. I remember in the Trojan War, when you read it, there were the gods who were actually fighting on the battlefield with the humans, with normal weapons, and they would even fight with each other, and it was kind of like sport for them. Like I remember Mars and Athena fought, and then Athena won, and that's exactly the kind of stuff that they talk about on in the Mahabharata. Is you would have all of these thousands of people fighting, or millions of people fighting, on this huge battlefield, and then the aliens are there fighting with them, and then the super gods are there fighting with them and flying around, and then you have like half human and half aliens, and then you have like the super warriors who have the superpowers, and I mean it was like the Roman gladiatorial fights that they were just getting off on fighting over and over again. Like, it was ridiculous. If you read the Mahabharata talks, I mean, I'm less than halfway through, and I must have listened to hundreds of different battles that are like that. And, they use elephants, and they use arrows, and just primitive weapons along with their weapons. So it's obvious that it's just for fun for them. But anyways, they're trying to fix that now, and that's why we kind of have to go to war for fun now. I mean, if you look at our political structure, we basically went into Iraq for fun. I mean, yeah, we're worried about oil, but those same people who are worried about oil, I'm sure know that there's free energy out there, and that we don't, and that we don't need to go to war to get their oil anyway. I mean, once we run out of oil, we're always going to drill. They're always going to sell us their oil, even if they're still a dictatorship. Anyways, and even the Vietnam War was something that we wanted to go in. The Gulf of Tonkin supposedly was the thing that brought us into the Vietnam War, where one of our battleships was attacked by the North Vietnamese, so we had to get revenge. But now the government actually admits that we attacked our own battleship so that we could, and now they admit it, but nobody knows, nobody cares. So, if we did it then, we could do it again. And that's why a lot of people think 9/11 is real, and I don't even know about 9/11. I saw that movie Loose Change, and I mean, if what they say is real, as far as the hole only being the size of for a missile, I don't know. I guess 9/11 is fake too. They did that just for fun. I mean, it's crazy, but anyway, all that comes from the Anunnaki, just trying to cause problems just for fun, have fun for themselves. And now they're still getting their asses kicked out of here by the good aliens who are finally like getting sick of them and fix everything. So who are the good aliens? I think the good aliens who are really in charge of everything in our whole local group are the Arcturians, and they come from Arcturus is a star that's not so far from here. It's a red giant, so it's a lot older than our star. So they're older and they're more developed than us, because their solar system is older. And they are about 3 feet tall. They live in another dimension completely. I don't know what density they're in, dimension, maybe the 6 or something. And they're over here, and they don't even, their people are born, their babies are, I think they live 800 years. Their babies are born on spaceships. They go way, 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 way out as far in the middle of space as they can when they get born to have as much pure energy of their own pure, I guess you could say God energy. So they're not contaminated by any of the energy that comes from the stars, so that they can be, pure. Because what happens is, as far as you want to talk about astrology, is when you're born, that's when you go out into the sky, out into the earth, and then, the energy of the stars and the sun, everything hit you, you wake up, you start breathing. That's when all of your chakras get activated and you're born. And so that fuses you. It's like first impressions. You meet somebody, first impressions, and that's always how you're going to remember them. Well, it's kind of, first impression of the universe, boom, that's how you're fused, and that's how you're going to be. So that's how signs work with astrology. And so they deliberately, they understand the physics of that, so they deliberately go to where they want to go to, be what they want to be. And so they go out there in the middle of space to get born. And they have spaceships, big spaceships, and where they can manipulate time, space, so that, their spaceship looks like this size, but then you go in and they can use another dimension once you go in to use up as much space as they want. So it's really cool. So they don't even need planets, basically. They just rely on their spaceship. And they probably couldn't even have a planet anyway, because their planet probably was gobbled up by Arcturus, which is a red giant. I mean, when our star turns into a red giant, its surface is going to be beyond the planet Earth's, orbit. I think even past Mars too. So anyway, that's what our destiny is to basically just move into spaceships and travel around and help other people like us. Now, their spaceships, they can create anything they want in our dimension, or their dimension. So anyways, the Venusians were the ones who made the pyramids, and they can create their bodies in our dimension. And when they die, or when they, I guess because they just done with they wouldn't just dissolve. Well, I mean, they could dissolve their body, but I guess sometimes they would just leave their body and leave their body here. And that's what happened once. They found a woman, and they opened her up, and all of her organs were different. And then they put the organs in vats, kind of figure out what she was, and then the organs just dissolved because her body was just created from her mind. And so anyway, that's what happened with Eisenhower. And Eisenhower disappeared for 3 days. Nobody knows what happened to him. He was out in Florida, and he was like on a golfing trip, and then a bunch of his Secret Service came or whatever, and he disappeared, and he was just gone. Nobody knows what happened to him or anything. And I guess the story is he was having like a tooth operation or something. He was in a dentist or something, but he was visiting with aliens, and I don't know who they were. Maybe they're the Venusians but it was a good kind of alien who actually don't even come from this dimension. They're from a higher dimension, who created their bodies in our dimension. So they're not aliens from this world, from this dimension. And they talked to him, and they were like, okay, us aliens are here. Your world is nuclear. You can destroy your planet. It's happened before, because we've had nuclear bombs happen here before. I even have a reference in the Mahabharata of that happening, and you can find it, on my website. But there have been, and then I think they pretty much told him what's going on. There's parallel universes. Ra says there's all sorts of different dimensions. And in the third dimension, and I think Ra even said so, that there's an infinite amount of different variations in the third dimension where we live, which basically means, there's parallel universes. So there's another Earth here where